All right, so the time is 1:01 p.m. I'm calling the May 2nd, 2022 meeting of the Albemarle County Architecture Review Board to order. This meeting is being held pursuant to and in compliance with ordinance number 20-A16, an ordinance to ensure the continuity of government during the COVID-19 disaster. The quorum is present. Architectural Review Board members present electronically are Dade Vanderwerf, Frank Stoner, and myself, Chris Henningsen. Frank Hancock and Tara Matsuno are recusing from the one item we have today. Opportunities for public access to this meeting are posted on the county's website at the county calendar. The public has real-time audiovisual access to this meeting over Zoom and real-time audio access over telephone, both as provided in the lawfully posted meeting notice. This meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the county's website. This online meeting is a public record and subject to disclosure under the Freedom of Information Act. All speakers, when it is your turn to speak, please first state your name for the record. Everyone who is participating today, it is good practice to mute your microphone until it is your turn to speak. Applicants who are making presentations, note that your presentation is limited to a total of 15 minutes, which you can divide among your team members. Carolyn will let us know when the 15 minutes are up. Disclosures, do any board members have anything to disclose?
No.
All right. Carolyn, are there any members of the public that want to make a comment about a project that is not on the agenda for review?
I do not have anyone at this time.
All right, great. So we do not have a consent agenda today, so we will move on to the regular review item, which there is one on the list, which will be presented by Chris Taggart from the Planning Division of Community Development. It is ARB 2022-29, TJA-CH Premier Circle Initial Site Plan. Chris, are you ready with your presentation?
Yes, Chris. Hold on one second.
Thank you.
All right. Are you viewing the slideshow?
Yes. Yep.
All right. All right. The application I'm presenting on today is the initial review of architecture and site plan for the first phase of a three-phase development. This phase includes a 4-story 80-unit building with associated site improvements. The site is located at 405 Premier Circle and contains a motel that predates the entrance corridor. The ARB reviewed but did not recommend approval of initial site plan for a Lidl grocery store in 2017. A revised initial site plan to address ARB comments for Lidl was not submitted by that applicant. The rezoning for this site was approved February of last year, which included comments from design staff regarding frontage landscaping and the building design of the entrance corridor facing elevation of the phase 3 building. To summarize the staff report, the focus is largely on the site landscaping and the building design, the entrance corridor facing elevation of the phase 1 building. The building design is contemporary in nature, but uses brick and metal, which reflect building materials used historically within the county, providing some connection to local historic architecture. The Dover white brick color does not represent the red brick color found in the surrounding context, but based on the manufacturer's description, it is suspected to have an appropriate appearance. The building's form and contrasting materials and colors help to break up the building's mass and establish rhythm as viewed from the entrance corridor. The varying materials also add a level of human scale, but the end elevations visible from the entrance corridor have design issues that result in varying levels of blankness. Regarding the landscaping for the site, no frontage landscaping is provided in this phase, but in the original overall landscape plan, there are multiple conflicts with the utilities and easements along the frontage and the perimeter of the parking lot adjacent to the entrance corridor, which did not allow for landscaping that met entrance corridor guidelines as specified in the approved code of development for the rezoning. There are also issues with the quantity of the interior parking lot trees provided in the overall landscape plan. After the staff report was finalized, the applicant made revisions to the overall landscape plan, which shows landscaping along and near the frontage that generally meets entrance corridor guidelines and is better coordinated with utilities and easements. Based on the revised overall landscape plan, staff now recommends approval of the initial site plan with the revisions listed in the staff report to be addressed with the final site plan submittal. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chris. Dave, do you have any questions for staff?
Sure, yeah, Chris, thank you for your presentation. I guess just one, as I recall, I think there's a recommendation in the guidelines for buildings to be parallel to the entrance corridor where feasible. Did you review that guideline with this application, and are there any issues to consider?
We did with this phase 1 building that's being reviewed. It was kind of reviewed generally parallel. The phase 3 building, when we do get to that phase, will be parallel to the entrance corridor. So kind of that level of with the phase 1 building being almost parallel to the entrance corridor. It was kind of reviewed by staff, but there wasn't any concern from staff.
All right, thank you for that. That was my only question.
All right, thanks. Frank, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions, Chris.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't have any questions either. So is the applicant ready with a presentation?
Hi, I'm Whitney McDermott. I'm with BRW Architects. I am ready. I can go ahead and share my screen. Okay, do you all see a PDF?
Yep,
Yes.
showing up.
Great.
Thank you.
So thank you all for taking the time to review this project. I wanted to take a small amount of time to review the overall vision for the project and then provide kind of response to some of the comments that were in the staff report. It seems like the landscape has been addressed in the previous, in Chris's presentation, but we just wanted to touch on some other components as well. So first, the TJAC Premier Circle initial plan before you today, it's a component of a larger vision that is a partnership between the Thomas Jefferson Area Coalition for Homelessness, TJAC, Virginia Supportive Housing, who is developing the building in front of you today, and Piedmont Housing Alliance. TJAC, they work to reduce homelessness by initiating creative solutions and coordinating regional resources and services. And they have partnered with Pacham and are currently operating on this site at Premier Circle using the existing motel units to provide temporary emergency housing. And they want to do that throughout the development of this parcel as long as possible to provide that emergency shelter. And so that actually kind of is, went into a lot of the design thinking for the situation of this Virginia Supportive Housing building, trying to get utilities to continue to be working on site to allow for the existing motel units to continue to be operating. And then Virginia Supportive Housing, the one developing this building, they have a mission to end homelessness by providing permanent housing and supportive services. And so with this building, it's VSH that's initiating this next phase of the overall master plan for the site through the building with 80 single occupancy residences for formerly homeless, and the building will have full on-site program support as well. And then in the future, not a part of this application in front of you today, but I mention it just to give kind of the overall context. Piedmont Housing Alliance plans to build a multifamily affordable building in the back half of the parcel, if this were 29 down the bottom of the page, Premier Circle here. And then the ultimate phase 3 that Chris was referencing has a mixed use building in the plan up directly adjacent to the entrance corridor. So that's just an overview of the project. And then some of the specific comments in the staff report, the comment about frontage and utility. As Chris mentioned, Timmons worked with staff to revise the landscape plan and to look specifically at those utility easements. And so what they've done is just pull back out of the easements and try to work with the proposed master plan for that for the parcel to balance the utility easements, the entrance corridor requirements, and the future development of the project. And so this sheet here, this slide just shows that that Timmons has also revised their plant schedule, thinking specifically about a species of tree that is best suited for kind of in and around the utility lines. A red maple, hoping that it will grow up under the utilities and not pose a problem. You can also see that they have anticipated the number of species and trees that are meeting all of the entrance corridor requirements and have summarized that in these tables. The second comment I wanted to address was this idea of blankness at this wall here of the building. And what I present to you is a first study, just to start a conversation about, we'd be open to suggestions, but to understand that on the interior, there is actually the bedroom portion of the single residency occupancy where we think the bed would go in the unit is basically in this area. And then there's a bathroom in this area. And so we first study proposing perhaps how could we include some smaller windows that are similar to the ones on the southeast of the building. And so here that is in elevation, those new windows here, which was previously the blank wall. The third comment I wanted to address had to do with the elevator tower. And I also threw in there the mechanical units on the roof. Elevator tower is kind of in the fulcrum, the middle of this intersection of the two pieces of the building. And from my studies, our studies in our rendering program, these things are modeled accurately. But I can't quite pick them up in the typical street level view from the tool I have on hand. And so from my understanding, they aren't necessarily visible. We can continue or take suggestions about how to study this further. But what I see here in this bottom left is you can just see this is actually a large piece of mechanical equipment. And you can just start to see it when from my program year 21 feet above Route 29. And that has to maybe to do with the site topography. There's kind of this berm along the front of 29 and then just the setback of the building. And so that is a quick overview of some initial responses, again, just to get a conversation going. And I just wanted to say thanks again for having us in front of you today. And yeah, what questions or concerns can we help with?
All right, well, thanks a lot for that presentation. Stoner, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I just had one. Whitney, do you have any idea how tall the building on 29 will be? How many stories?
The proposed future building along
Correct.
29, I think it can be up to 4 stories. I don't remember the number of feet that it is. It has a height limit, of course, but I think it's 4 stories, but I don't remember the feet.
Okay, that has not been designed yet.
No, it has not been designed.
Gotcha. Okay. That's all I got, Chris. Thanks.
Thanks. Dade?
Sure. Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Whitney, for your presentation. I guess following up on my earlier question for Chris Taggart, were you all able to give any consideration during design to making I guess it's the east facade of the proposed building parallel to the entrance corridor? I know there's issues with existing utilities and developments on the site, but if you could just describe that process, that would be helpful for me.
Yeah, I can start. Basically, yes, it's a tight site. We're trying to save those existing motels and save access to them both vehicularly and also utilities. And I think it's the type of building and the type of financing is low-income housing tax credit building, and so it has certain requirements also about universal design and access all around the site. And so when you throw in the utilities, the grading, and kind of just the general needs of the building and program, this is the best. Well, I don't know. It's the best that we could come up with in terms of saving all of those, and also trying to think about the landscape and amenities and the circulation between the building and those amenities. Jonathan, I don't know if you've had anything to add.
Yeah, I think definitely, as Whitney was mentioning, we're trying to preserve as many of those utilities that are in there. So that's one of the reasons for the L-shaped building. We're working around some sewer, some power, some water. And also as Whitney was mentioning, that front building will in the end be the main parcel that fronts on 29. Premier Circle then kind of takes an arc, a loop around. And so the other buildings kind of follow that arc of Premier Circle as they step around. So they effectively will become more fronting on Premier Circle. So yeah, the goal is kind of have that front one aligned with 29 and then kind of fan out around as we follow Premier Circle. Yeah, kind of Whitney showing there kind of shows it. And then also we're kind of going from a rectangular parcel in the front to rectangular in the back. So it did leave kind of this VSH parcel as a triangle, which combined with the utilities work better for this L-shaped building.
Okay, thank you both. I don't have any further questions.
All right, thanks a lot, Dave. I just had one question, and you kind of addressed it with the revision to that portion of the facade on the, I guess it's the north side, where you added the small windows. There was an additional comment on the staff report regarding if you turn around, there's similar small windows on the, I guess it's the south, yeah, right there.
Right.
Is that a similar situation where it's a bathroom or some other functional reason why a smaller window is more appropriate there?
It is a similar situation. And well, in fact, on those, it is actually the kitchen on that interior portion. And so, yes, it is a similar situation.
All right, great. Thank you. That was the only question I had. So Carolyn, are there any members of the public that would like to make a comment?
Not at this time, no.
All right, great. So the ARB will now go into discussion. Dade, do you have any comments?
I appreciate the applicant's response to the staff comments about the landscaping and I guess from my questions you can gather, I have some concerns about the orientation relative to the EC, but I think, like staff, I'm satisfied that the future phase 3 development and maybe ultimate other development on the entrance corridor could address that so that this building doesn't need to be strictly parallel. And appreciate the applicant considering options to relieve blankness consistent with the interior organization of the building. So I feel that I'm prepared to approve the site plan today.
All right, thanks a lot. Frank Stoner.
Chris, I don't really have any meaningful comments other than to add to what Dave said. I think that the applicant addressed the landscaping issues to my satisfaction. I understand the issue relative to parallel orientation to 29, but I think given the fact that building the third phase of this project will result in a building presumably at least 2 stories tall, maybe up to 4. I think a lot of that concern will be mitigated when that phase is built. So I think it's a nice application. I'm prepared to vote.
All right, thanks a lot. I agree with everything that was said previously. I think due to that phase 3 building hopefully being placed parallel to the entrance corridor, I think having this building more in the background, not being oriented is not a big problem. I was gratified to see the addition of more of those small windows. I noted that comment on the staff report and kind of liked those small windows. I think what stood out about them was the fact that they were kind of isolated. There weren't any more of them on the building. So I think the addition of some more kind of gives them a little bit more reason to be there. I think just it would have been helpful to see the other 2 elevations just for my own reference, just to get a more of a feel of just how the building is as its own thing, even though they're not visible from the entrance corridor. But that was not really curiosity, but not really a big comment. So as my colleagues indicated, I'm also prepared to give my go ahead on this too. So I guess if we could review the recommended motion, maybe modified if needed. All right.
Sorry about that. I caught up muted. Are you viewing the memo?
Yeah, yep, sorry. Okay.
We've already changed it just like in the presentation to have the
Oh,
word.
okay. Right.
And then just to kind of cover all bases, because there's wording regarding planting along the entrance corridor that's kind of been resolved with the most recent landscape plan.
Right.
So it'd probably be best to cover all bases to state those are corrections.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I was thinking about comments number 2 and 3, and I would just propose adding the word consider revising instead of making that a requirement. Maybe more of a suggestion if my colleagues agree with that.
That is acceptable to me.
That was really the only comment I had or change. Dade or Frank, do you have any additional modifications?
I don't think so. I'm just reading through the last couple here.
Yeah, I don't, Chris.
All right. Well, would anybody like to make a motion?
I'm happy to move for approval of this item with the recommendations outlined in the staff report with revisions noted as follows. As updated by staff, strike the first bullet point after requirements and replace with the ARB recommends approval of the initial site plan based on the revised landscape plan presented at the May 2nd meeting, which resolves the easement and landscape conflicts along the frontage. Revise under items regarding the final site plan, revise item 2 to add consider revising before the text, and item 3 also add the text consider revising. And for item 14, strike the first sentence. And for item 15, strike item 15.
All right, thanks. I'll second that. So Caroline, if you could call a vote.
Sure. Mr. Stoner,
Aye.
Mr. Henningsen,
Aye.
Mr. Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Thank you. So the motion passes, and I guess we do not have a work session this week, so on to other business. Approval of the April 18th, 2022 minutes. Would anybody like to move to approve?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Mr. Vanderwerf,
Aye.
Mr. Henningsen,
Aye.
Mr. Stoner.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. So the next meeting is scheduled for May 16th. And I guess I plan on being there. Might be better to do a quorum check by email, just since we're missing 2 members, but Frank and Dade, are you both able to attend?
Yeah, I'm planning to attend.
Right.
Yeah, I think so. Sorry, I'm trying to get to my calendar. My computer is frozen. Oh, there we go. 16th. Oh, actually, I am not here for that meeting.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll check with Frank and Taro and hope we can get a quorum for that. So does anyone have any other items to discuss?
I was just going to add for the May 16th meeting, we should be getting around to having the template ready for review for the Explore the Entrance Corridor Guidelines update.
Oh, okay, great.
Oh, wonderful. No, nothing for me. I'm not sure if Frank, you were here. We were talking with Carolyn before we were in session. Apparently we will be returning to in-person meetings in June.
Returning when?
In June, I believe. Is that right?
Early June, yeah, I think.
Okay.
Possibly the first meeting in June may end up being the second meeting. I'm not really sure. As soon as we know something, I'm sure Margaret will let you all know.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Great.
Exciting.
Look forward to it, yeah. So, all right, well, if no one has any other items, I will adjourn to the next meeting on Monday, May 16th. The time is 1:29 p.m.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks,
All
everyone.
right, bye.